Welcome to the Flat Track Factory on field trip again. Coming to Quarterley Racing with Dale Quarterley has turned out to be a really popular thing that we do. So until we get our reality show going, we'll just come and visit until Dale gets sick of me, or I get sick of Dale. Either way. Yeah, either way. Can you imagine if we just marketed somebody like our track at the track arguments about stuff, bike setup?
But it's everybody. It's not you, it's not me, it's everybody.
It's not you.
We get a little more detailed.
Oh, okay. This is going to be another addition to, I think, a series that we're going to have called Tales from the Track, or Story Time. And I told a story about Pomona that was kind of a fun story, or I thought so anyway. So the twist on today's Story Time episode is Dale was there watching it. So I'm going to tell the story, and then we're going to find out what really was going on.
Let's highlight it first.
Okay.
We go to
GTR.
They're having their first race. By the way, they did a sensational job for their first race. Tons of classes, tons of people showed up. Everybody was struggling.
Just south of Columbia, South Carolina, and Gaston at a facility called GTR Complex.
Right. And it's one of those tracks that it takes to about 8 or 9 o'clock at night before the track really starts coming in, really has traction. You really start laying down some laps. So when they started practicing at 6, heat races at 7:30 or so, the track was basically marbles on top. It was just dry, slick. If you were a skier, they'd call it loose granular, which is ice. So everybody was struggling. Everybody was 3 or 4 seconds off the pace.
Yes.
So go ahead.
So gearing was just wacky, and I couldn't go anywhere. I just wasn't having any fun. So I just decided that I would sort of forget about the race and just try to find something positive to take away, maybe just personal, just cut some good laps. Went out in the heat races, and of course about half the field in my class runs, and then half the field runs again, so 2 heat races qualify for the main. So things did improve by the heat race time, and the surface was still, just like Dale talked about, not enjoyable to ride on, not consistent, just, the track was smooth, right, just no grip.
Right.
So we pick back up after the rainstorm, and we'll try to make this edit look nice here. We'll do the best we can. Start over with the heat race. So we got very limited practice just due to the nature of this particular event being the first one. It was fine. Went out for the heat race, very, very slippery. I was very uncomfortable. By a miracle of miracles, probably just got a good start. I don't know, won both heats. So I thought, well, I won't get that lucky again. We came in after the heat races, we had some discussions, maybe our standard 2 to 3 arguments, and picked his brain and decided to go with your setup ideas. I think we just took a bunch of spring out of the back.
Yep.
Because the bike just was like a buckboard for a bank clay and just wasn't doing anything. And really, it couldn't have been any worse, right? I mean, kind of classic Dale.
That was my piece.
Yeah,
you're not going to make it worse.
Yeah, you're. I think you said, it's crap now. So,
right.
So yeah, okay. So I took I took 2 rounds out, and you're like,
come on.
So
that's a 0.0 something % change. Why bother?
Yeah.
Right?
So,
and the guy next to us was doing it.
Yeah.
He's chasing tires and stuff, but he's starting with a tire that was done 10 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Why even go through the abuse of touching the tire? There's certain things guys do at the racetrack that, to me, are a complete waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
They're just making themselves feel better. But every time they go
There's something
out,
to be said for that.
they get the exact same result.
Yeah.
But why weigh yourself out to get the same result? That's what I struggle with.
Sure. And I'm trying to prescribe to this, and when I have somebody there who's willing to think through setup with me and has the experience, I definitely like to listen to it. So we did it. And I resigned myself to just accepting what I felt I had about a mid-pack finish. I think I had about maybe a 5th. So the track was very slippery, and people, myself, were making huge mistakes. You're going into the corner, rushing the corner, and just basically never stopping. Even
guys were going over the edge of the racetrack and coming back up.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking 50 feet off the racetrack, off the racing line.
I don't enjoy doing that. Expensive things happen over there,
right,
and I just don't want to get involved. So how to have a good time I was a little frustrated, to be honest with you. Like, that's not what I came here for, but sometimes the track is the way that it is, and it's a new event. I see tons of potential. So I just kind of had a Zen moment and decided, hey, I'm gonna go as slow as it takes for me not to make a mistake. Now that's gonna be really slow. So, I'll accept it and take the positivity, make some changes, learn something, and just accept what I can get out of this. Okay, so we line up for the main event. A good big field, 2-row start. The green flies, and I take off, and I'm at the front. So I said, okay, plan is stay on the bottom, go as slow as it takes to not slide sideways, not spin up, and not drift off the bottom. And that was really slow. So I figured, okay, well, I'll do this, and they'll go around me, and there's a big old stack of them behind me. So I'm not even gonna worry myself with it. It'll happen when it happens. Didn't happen this lap, didn't happen that lap, and I think I was lifting. It felt like I was lifting at the flag stand or before. Really keeping the bike in line, very much underneath me. Fine, whatever. They'll get me, they'll get me. They never got me. I crossed the start-finish line, looked back.
Nobody.
Nothing. Like literally, I couldn't see anybody. I had to look on the back straightaway to find them. So that was my perception, what I was thinking, and how of course, when the helmet's on, your perception is terrible. But when I told you the story about Pomona, that's pretty speculative. I mean, there is a video of it, but here, now, you can hear what really happened.
But it's the same, we're gonna keep on saying the same piece. If people don't really need to keep watching our videos, because it's the same
just turn it off.
Foolish crap that's gonna come out of my mouth constantly. And again, I wanna clarify, this is what I think. If somebody else wants to have another opinion and they want to talk about it, I'm okay with that.
But that's
right?
Why they tuned in to watch, Dale. This
It's
is
just
the part they want.
It's just what I think. And so what I think is everybody's stuck in 3 things, right? The least worst handling motorcycle wins races. Not the best handling, there's no such thing. The least worst handling motorcycle wins races. Changes need to be changes. When you go out on the racetrack and you're off 30%, and you do 1 click on the shock, you might as well take a gun to your head and shoot yourself and use the energy for something productive. Because you're just wasting time, right? You're wasting my food. Leave the food for me to eat so I can make some better decision, right? That's not a decision. That's a cop-out. Make a change. You're off 20%, make a 20% change, right?
Well, people are afraid, right? It's bad, and they think I might make it worse. So tell them why that's holding them back, that decision, that fear.
If you jump off your chair and you hit the ground, it's pretty simple to rationalize, somehow I went down when I jumped off the chair, and that's how I hit the ground. You don't need to talk about gravity or relativity or anything, right? The stratosphere. Just something made you go down. That's pretty simple. Adjustments are the same way. There's in and out, up and down. There's only 2 ways to adjust something, right? So if you go out and you're going terrible, you make a 20% change. You go back out, you're either going to go 20% better or 20% worse. In one adjustment, one big adjustment, you just learned, I went the wrong way. It's pretty simple.
Okay, so specifically on this night, tell the people that maybe don't even know what to do, what setup we had with the bike tall and stiff, and then what did you want to do and why?
Okay, so let's take it one more step. Our last video, what are you really doing? What do you think you're doing, and what were you really doing? He's riding it, he's got one idea in his helmet. I'm sitting in the grandstands, eating fried bologna sandwiches, having a blast, watching the whole thing unfold, and I'm kind of chuckling to myself. And I'm thinking of the changes we made and what was going on. And basically what happened was, he goes out and rides, he gets the whole shot, they muscle him down into turn 1, and they're trying to pinch him, and he's stopping. And they just lightly driving on him, and the next thing you know, they're hazing sideways. They get it back. By this point, he's got two bike lengths on him, mid straightaway. You go into the next turn, now that you get 2 bikes on him, the first guy storms it in, he doesn't even make the turn. He goes down over the edge of the racetrack, has to come back up. He can't even remotely get it to stop our turn. The second place and third place guy make the turn. They're catching you through center. They see that they're catching you. They both jump in the throttle, and both of them go full lock sideways, full lock back again, back in the gas. By the time they look up, now you're 6 bike lengths ahead of them. You just continually drove away from them. And what happened was, you think you're slowing down, but you drove the racetrack what you were capable of getting a hold of. They drove the racetrack what they're used to racetrack to being, what it's been in the last couple of weeks. For some reason it changed that night, is they're coming off the turn full stick. Well, it wouldn't stick full stick. So what they couldn't do is they couldn't get from sideways. They'd just start to straighten the thing out, and they'd jump in the gas. And as soon as they'd jump in the gas, it would be sideways again. But this time it'd be full lock sideways. Then they'd get it back, then they'd get in the gas again. Well, that wasted time, and all that energy they were wasting, and it was pretty hot out. All that energy they were wasting, they weren't going forward. What you did was, when you made the mental decision to, hey, if I finish fifth, I finish fifth. I'm going to drive it what it's capable of. I'm going to keep it stuck to the racetrack. I'm going to go this way, not that way. I'm going to go down the straightaway, not up the straightaway. I'm going to go from A to B, not A to B to the starter's box to C to the turn, right? So what you did, and this is the big piece, somewhere you made the conscious decision to come in the turn little bit sideways. You'd get the thing back in line, and from that moment on, you wouldn't let it get out of line. You'd roll the throttle and roll the throttle and roll the throttle. You pick your foot up, you roll the throttle a little more, it would start to get loose. You'd just sit there for a second, it would come back. And it might take you quarter way off the turn before you get the full stick.
It felt like all the way.
But just after the starter's box, a couple laps, when you get a good drive, just past the starter's box, you were shutting the throttle off again, because you couldn't get in without getting sideways. And because you were sideways, you'd be so sideways that when you get it back, now the thing's sitting upright, it doesn't know what to do. When you twist the gas, it would be instant sideways again.
And you're way off the bottom of the racetrack. If you go in, with a lot of lean angle and a lot of slip angle, the bike would never stop. So I'm just like, I'm not doing that.
And that, so how you beat them was, you kept it in line. You rode the motorcycle what it was capable of. You basically diamond the racetrack, not a pure diamond like when we have traction, but you basically diamond the racetrack. You came into a point, said, okay, I'm good, wheels are back in line, I'm gonna start rolling the gas. Okay, I'm rolling the gas, life's good, I can pick up my foot, life's still good, you can just keep rolling the gas, and you would never go, you'd never jump to that wide open point, right? So you kept available traction. If it was 22%, you were at 22%. If it was at 42%, you were at 42%. A couple of times and one time almost burnt you, about lap 4 or 5, you decided, geez, these last couple laps been going good. I watched you do it. You picked your foot up early and you went woof. And the thing went just boom, instant, full lock sideways, full lock back again. And you went on the gas, and I saw your helmet move like you saying to yourself, well, that was stupid, right? And then you never did it again. From that moment on, it was stuck to the racetrack, and you just drove away from the guys. When you got off, which the part I thought was cool, when you got off, you basically did almost back-to-back races.
Yeah.
You were hot and sweating. When the other two guys got off, they were exhausted because they completely overrode it the whole time. They never once paid attention to what the track was doing or how to get a hold of the racetrack. They just kept trying to make what they do work. And there's no way, there was no traction. You can't go oof with the gas. There was no traction.
Now, I wish I could say that I did this on purpose. I didn't do this. This wasn't a strategy. This wasn't a secret trick that I had in my toolbox for 25 years. I simply did it because I didn't know what else to do. And I think this story, the moral of the story, the lesson of the story is screaming at everybody. We just haven't said the trite racing phrase, what this is all about. But Dale, what is this a lesson about?
It's a lesson about give to get, right? You had to give up what you want to do to get what you're trying to do, right?
And that's,
you got to give to get.
What do people call this? Go slow to go fast? Is that what this lesson is?
That's basically what this lesson is. I would go with
so
that.
Why, I've been doing this a while, and I've heard that since I was a kid, but why in the moment when it's happening during the heat races could I not consciously have done that without being just kind of forced into it by frustration?
It's the same as the chassis adjustment. You guys looking into my eyes. You see my eyes? It's the same as the chassis adjustment. If you're off 20%, you need to make a 20% change. When you guys, and I do it too, I'm going to throw myself in this boat. When you go out and make a 2% change trying to do something, it's not going to notice it. You didn't make a big enough change for it to notice it. So all the other guys you were racing, their version of going in a little softer was going in at 98%. That we had a 75% racetrack. You can't go in at 98%. You're the only one that slowed down the 74%.
The video looks comical.
Right.
I mean, if you just take all the other guys out of it, my corner entry, I mean, I look like a rank amateur who just started on corner speed, a corner entry speed.
I would like to say we're picking on people, but when you make that sentence, but that sentence couldn't be more true. That you were going in it, I say we because I was helping, you were 5 seconds off the pace. Off of us on a good night out there racing, you were 5 seconds off the pace doing what we were doing. That's how far the track was off. But you slowed down to, the track was at 75%, you slowed down to 75%. You raced the racetrack, you didn't race each other's. The other guys in the field, which were good guys, and I was laughing sitting there watching it, my girlfriend too, and she kept commenting on it too. But Brooke was like, I didn't understand. And I'm asking her, what do you mean? Says, those guys are killing themselves. He's not doing anything. And I just chuckled. I'm like, that's when I talk about, and when I teach road racing, fat, lazy, and stupid, right? We don't want to think, we don't want to work, we don't do anything. We just want to sit there. And if you watch some of the good vintage guys, the guy on the 2-bike that used to race our buddy Pete Lawson all the time, he was like this.
No drama.
He didn't do anything. He didn't get sideways. He maybe had it wide open for 1 second, maybe a second and a half on each straightaway. All the other time he was rolling off, rolling on, or rolling back off again. He was just sitting there, not doing anything. It was making me mad watching him because I know I would have been chasing him and I would have been out there overriding it because that's who I am. And then yelled at myself afterwards that if I just slowed down, I could have run the guy down, but I wouldn't back down enough to get to him, right? So the whole point of this video is you have to decide what you're doing, right? What are you really doing? What are you really doing? If it's not turning, then you're going in too fast. If it won't keep the rear wheel under it, you got too much gas coming out. I mean, that's the first two pieces, right? It's simple to self-adjust.
Yeah.
And then if you try 20 things and I get in, I can get through center, but I can't get off. Okay, now we're going to work on the motorcycle. The motorcycle's last, right? In your case, the only reason we're working on the motorcycle is because we knew that your motorcycle is basically set up for a track that has traction, almost blue groove that we can wheelie off the turn if we feel like it. So we knew we had way too much suspension in it, and we needed to get rid of some. We just didn't have the parts to do it, right?
It took some preload out.
Yeah, we made some adjustments.
So, all right, guys. Again, when Dale and I talk, I know these videos get long, and some people don't like long videos, but many of you do. So this is one for you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you back if Dale brings us back again later.
Peace out.